right, what's going on? This is the parts bin buggy. That's what I call this guy. This is my parts bin truck. This is a cool little truck. A lot of little unique features on it. But I see online a lot of questions about the Endura chassis, the Goop RC, and I thought I'd put together a little video, seeing as I got both, on thoughts on it, how they work, give you a little build breakdown of this truck, and then we're gonna head out to the jetty up the street and give it a drive on the rocks. So this truck started out life as an AX24. Here it is. This guy. I painted this, of course, but started out kind of that neon green. You can see a little chip through right there. And it was a four-wheel steer truck. You know, this is a four-wheel steer buggy, little rock buggy, four-wheel steer AX. So basically, I bought this because I wanted four-wheel steer, drove it around for a little bit, and I don't know, I just never really liked it, to be honest. It sat really low. It kind of would get hung up on stuff. It was not very powerful. Didn't have, the servos were weak. Just a lot of stuff I didn't like. I did put upgraded wheels, tires, links on it, but it just never really performed the way I wanted it to. And I think mainly it looks really goofy. And so I think I just didn't drive it because of that, If the truck looks cool, I think I drive it more. So this kind of just sat in the cupboard or drawer or garage or wherever it sat for a long time. And then one day I came across an Endura buggy build, and I'd always sort of written off the Endura buggy builds. I never liked how they looked. I didn't care for them. But when I saw this one, I thought it was awesome. It was like a low slung, kind of aggressive looking truck. It was longer than this. I think the back end had like really long links. And so I looked up how much the buggies were, and it was $30. So $30 for a chassis, and I gave it a little click on Amazon and ended up with a chassis. This guy is pretty solid. So I bought the chassis, it showed up, and I didn't really know what I was gonna put into it, hadn't thought about it, and then it clicked. I've got a perfectly good AX24, a bunch of really good parts in there, or at least parts that work. Might as well take them out of this and stick them in my buggy here. So that's what I ended up doing. I took everything out, I started putting it into the buggy, and I realized that most of the parts from the buggy don't really work in the, most of the parts from the AX don't really work in a lot of other stock or any other SCX models. So what I did get out of it, what I didn't get, I'd say about half this stuff came from the AX, and then the other half was stuff that I had lying around, stuff that I bought for different projects, parts left over from builds, and ended up with a truck that I actually really like. I enjoy driving this truck. I think it looks cool. I'm pretty happy with it. So, little breakdown for you. Obviously, Endura buggy, chassis. Chassis is fine. Inside of it, I got a brushless Goop RC motor, transmission, and ESC. And I like the setup. It's pretty good. The one thing about this I don't like is it's big and everything sits up high. And I'm not a huge fan of that part. So that's the piece I don't like. This ESC is enormous. It's this big metal hunk that kind of fills up the whole right side of the truck. The motor sits high. And then for transmission, the one thing that is a bummer is, and you can kind of see it in there, that gold on the back right there. The back of the transmission is completely exposed. So all of the wires and everything like that, they would go in there. So I ended up cutting out a can, and you can kind of see it in there. I cut out a can, and see if I can do this. So I built a little cover for it. So that's out of a can, but otherwise the Goop RC works wonderful. Happy with it. I think I paid $25. I do not think I would pay $40 for it, but it's great. Bottom side. So the skid plate, if I remember correctly, does not come off of the AX. So I did a different skid plate. This was in the parts bin, pulled it out. I think it's aluminum Endura. Front of the truck over here, we'll do the front half. So the links on the front are Gladiator brass high clearance AX links. I bought the kit because I wanted to put brass Gladiator rear links on the back of my C10 build. So that's what the links are here. On the back side, the links for the rear of the truck are ramp crab high clearance aluminum links for a C10. I have no idea where the front links are. I don't know why I own these, but I own them and they work fine. They work nice in this truck. They're a little bit longer, but as you can see, it's pretty even. I don't really have a really short front end, so it's kind of a nice split in that sense. This is a truck that taught me that axles, you can do a lot with stock axles. If you build them up a little bit, they can be pretty good. I would never buy stock axles because they're so expensive, and I think that's the shortcoming of the stock axle is like, it's decent, but why would you pay 30 bucks for a front axle? That's stock, you know? Because you're going to put a bunch of money into building it out anyway. So, but if you have them lying around, you should 100% use them. There's no reason not to, and I think you can do a nice job building it out. So let's talk about this. On the front end, we've got, I think I put a slightly larger, or a slightly higher, whatever you call it, the front pinion gear, overdrive. I did a little bit of overdrive, I think like 12%. I did a brass diff cover. These are teal brass knuckles, brass steering links, and then Emax servo up front. And then you can see right here, I have brass like 4mm extenders, and we'll talk about that in a minute. On the back, so I've got the C10 links, I've got stock axle. Everything's pretty basic on here except for I don't know why this is upside down, but I did mount metal steering links because on this truck, in Emax ESC, on this truck, four-wheel steer, it's really important to have solid rear end because, we'll get into this. Basically, your truck's driving up a hill, it's sitting sideways like that. This rear servo, because everything steers, it's got to hold everything straight. But when all that weight goes, the truck wants to sit over like that. So the servo is constantly fighting it back. Any slop you have in the system, anything like that, just ends up letting the tires roll when you only have the front steer engaged. So you definitely need a strong rear end. You need a strong servo. You need strong links, and that's key. But I wanted it to be lightweight, so aluminum and then all plastic. The shocks are 51mm double barrel Endura shocks mounted upside down in the back and right side up in the front. And then the wheels are brass Endura beadlocks with crawler rock terrain tires. These are 64mm tires. I think it's like a little kit you get on Amazon. So basically what came off of the AX was wheels, tires, axle, and then I think the servos and the suspension. And then everything else is basically new. Or not new, but it's stuff I pulled out of the bin. It's stuff that did not come off of the AX. Last thing, receiver. I have an SLR300. I wanted to stay with Spectrum because I wanted to reuse the controller I had. This controller from the AX allows you to adjust the rear steer. So that's what these are. And I needed where is it? This ESC receiver combo is just so big, it wouldn't fit in there nicely. So I did end up buying this for this build. But basically everything else, like Goop RC was a project. Honestly, I think I just wanted it one day, ordered it, and it sat in a bin. These Emax servos, both of them I think I bought for other trucks and then since upgraded those trucks to better servos. So those are in here. And then just I don't know, mix of like random bits and bobs and pieces. So that's the build. I like this truck. I guess pros and cons of this build of the Endura rock buggy. It is very small, and when you're building it, it's kind of annoying, but the real bummer happens when something breaks and you want to fix it. Like when my motor, because it's so sharp on the edges, it was spinning on and it was rubbing against the wires for the front servo and actually cut through the wires. In order to fix that, I had to basically take the entire truck apart just to be able to unplug the pins right here. So things like that are really annoying. In terms of wheel clearance, this truck is terrible with wheel clearance. It kind of hits everywhere, especially when it's flexed out. I don't know what Endura thinks you should put on here. I don't know if it thinks you should have longer links. I don't know if it thinks you should have smaller wheels, or smaller tires, but I don't know. I think these tires look like appropriately sized. I mean, they're big, but it's a rock buggy. I think they're supposed to be big. So that's kind of a bummer. They don't grab too hard. They rub a little bit, but they don't really grab because everything's so rounded. So that is a plus. And yeah, so overall, it's a sweet truck. I'd say you know, I really like I like the suspension. I like how much droop it has. I like that, you know, like when you can almost like, it can almost go 90 degrees and not flip over. Whereas like some nicer builds I have, you know, this one actually fell in the water the other day, so it's a little funky. But this one, as you lift it up, I mean, you can't get, oh, it hit. Once you get to like a certain point, it flips over and it falls. So this one on side hill, or especially when I'm trying to crawl up something, this one will flip a lot. What I found is that for whatever reason, just the really heavy low down weight and then the longer shocks just allow it to flex a ton, and the flex is nice. Not a huge breakover. It does get caught on stuff pretty easily. It does sit, you know, you can see how it sits kind of low, almost as low as the axles in the middle there. I'm sure I could make it sit a little bit higher, but then you run into not as being as low center of gravity. So, but whatever, yeah, fun little truck. Let's toss a battery in it real quick. Give it a little test drive here. And I'll show you kind of slow speed crawl, little bench test, and then we can head out into the, jetties and see how it goes. So there it is, front back. So the way this toggle works, you push up once, then you have 4-wheel steer like that, tighter turning radius. You push down once, it centers it back out to normal steering. And then you push down again, and you have the crab walk. Go up, center it out again. So here's the slow. Just look at this slow crawl, it's insane. I mean, that's awesome, you know. Super happy with that. Very happy with the way that works. And then the crab walk's kind of cool. I don't use the crab very much. Every once in a while I use it, but. Oh, another thing to say on this truck is that it eats through batteries quickly. And I think that's because it's constantly pulling power to keep the rear axle straight. And there is a lot of weight in this truck. So it goes through batteries quicker than most. But yeah, let's take it out to the rocks and give it a drive, and I'll show you how it does out in the real world. And here we are in the real world. This is out at the jetties. These jetties are cool. You can see it's big rocks, and then in the background there you can see the cement. And yeah, it's big rocks, and they just cement them in so they don't roll around, and it provides a cool little mixed terrain. So super fun to drive. Here it is. Nice little music. You can see these little gravel pebbles in the cement. I don't love them. They make it a little bit tricky. They don't provide great traction because the tire just has barely any purchase on them. And then sometimes they kind of screw you up. I think this is the case here. Just, I don't know. I think if my wheelbase was a little bit longer, I could make it up this little ledge up here. But I just struggled, man. I just could not do it. Tried a couple different ways. Could not figure it out. Maybe I need to go back. Maybe I need to upgrade the driver and this whole, it's almost there. It's so close, but I think the driver side rear tire is catching, or the passenger side rear tire is catching. But yeah, kind of a sad give up right there. Just move on. Don't even finish it out. Here's a nice little roll, cruising around some rocks. Now I'm driving this truck one-handed, and so you often see it like right there. I stopped and then I click I'm driving it one-handed because I'm filming. But I stop and I click the transmitter, the steering, and I'm changing it, trying to figure out, okay, boom, push it up. Did it go into 4-wheel steer or not? And then you see me test it. So that's often what's happening when it's paused or I'm getting my balance. But here's a nice little climb, nothing too tricky, but a fun little course. And you still have a little stroller in the background. Got my 4-month-old hanging out, sleeping right now. Probably heard in the last video. Here's a little run I did. Before I filmed this, I actually just cruised right up it. It was super easy, not a problem at all. And then I kept getting stuck. It's that back wheel would fall in the hole, and then as I turned, it would dig itself in deeper and get stuck. So I went back and forth a few times. I eventually do get it here. Didn't look nice. It wasn't pretty, not as smooth as I was hoping for, but made it through, kind of back and forth, and I've just given it a little bit of a punch at the end. And I make it through. Come on, you got it. You got it, little buggy. Here we go. This is it. Bam, make it across. So Cruise over to the left, and I believe I just wrap around to the right. Yeah, little, see, these are the little pebbles I'm talking about, the little gravel pieces. They also, because they stick up in weird spots, you get hung up a lot. And I don't know, they're fine, but I don't love them. Anyways, obvious lines, just they sometimes get screwed over by the little rocks. But here we go. I think you see the front left tire lift there. I just need to get the front left tire to stay down, and then I'll make it right over. And then it looks like I'm going further, like I'm setting up for a new line, and then I just stop. All right, this is pretty steep, hard to tell. Not super steep, but decently steep. A nice little starting point. All right, aiming for this little crack, and boom. This next clip is cool. This is me, here I test which way I'm steering, and I'm coming up on this little ledge. And the whole time, all the wheels are planted, which is pretty cool. Front left wheel stays down. And the cool part about the rear steer, you get hung up center, you can kind of do a little bit of rear steer going on there, and that'll help the tires spin around, get a little bit of purchase on the rock that they might have not otherwise had, because you're digging the corner and they're moving, and it can grab. All right, new one here. I'm just driving through some holes to show you that it flexes. Kind of a show-off move. No real good there. All right, this is another pretty cool line, actually. The goal is wrap around, cruise, you drop off this little ledge, and then you hook right, and it goes up this pretty flat rock with some kind of interesting curves. Now, this is where you can get into trouble with four-wheel steer, because you'll see I turn right to go up the hill, and it actually walks the back end of the truck down. I start slipping, I notice it, so I straighten it out. So now it's only front wheel steer, but I've already lost a little bit of height, just enough height that I'm not really gonna make this back up, and I'm trying to, but I'm just sliding. You just see me sliding here. So I end up sliding down this hole. Not a good line. I know I can do better. I end up getting caught high centered on this little ridge. Now I'm doing a bad job filming, you can't see it, but you can kind of see him high centered on that ridge. I eventually get pretty high up. I'm kind of making it. I'm a little frustrated. I think maybe, what the heck, I'll go for it, and boom, down. So set up to do it again. Nice little flex through the hole. This time, I think as you watch, this time you'll see I only had the front steer engaged, so no rear steer for this one. And I also kind of try to set myself up a little bit higher. You can see it right there. Bounce along, boom, and going, nice and high, and I'm already, you can see I'm up, I'm high, right tire going up, and it's pulling through. There he goes. Nicely up to the top. Now, this is where I realize I'm pretty far to the left. Turn the rear steer. Now I realize I have screwed up, and boom, goes down. And just give it another go. Just get right back on the wheels. I think I try to go up this one. I think this also results in failure or me just quitting. Oh, I try to crab walk up this to try to get the rear end up because it's sliding, and that doesn't work. And I just move on to a whole new line. This line is a pretty fun one. It's just kind of a bunch of different mixed terrain up and down. We go from rock to cement, back to rock, and then sometimes you're going down, sometimes you're going up. So it's for this buggy, it works nicely because there's nothing on the front end or the rear end for it to get caught up on, like the body, and we cruise right through. Fun little rock, kind of shows off what it can do. Pop it into four-wheel steer, little victory slide down the hill, and then I just come straight over, put my tire up high. Nice, good looking truck. We're on the sand here, and I'm never confident when the sand's there, but here we go. So this one I think I cruise right up, no problem at all. The truck's doing some nice work. There you go. Tight turning, engage that four-wheel steer, loop around, I hook left. This is where these little rocks kind of get tricky, but I find what I need. Front tire comes up, redo it, and we're pulling up, pulling up, pulling up, and boom, get it right up there, cruise around, figure, might as well come back down, do another little lap. So here we are, coming again. But yeah, you see how you're constantly going back and forth. Okay, the rear steer works awesome right there, but other times you don't want it to do anything because it moves the truck in the wrong direction, or suddenly you have this really clean line on the front end and now you think the truck will just pull itself through, but now the rear end, let's see, yeah. Now the rear end's walking its own direction and it becomes a total pain. Oh, do I flip? Do I save it? I'm stuck. Bam. Nice, nice. All right, now we're just doing, I don't know what we're doing here. I'm just gonna hit this rock. Oh, I thought this rock would be super easy, and then I think I almost flip it right here. Too high, I think I back up, realize it's too high. Come a little lower down on the rock. You can see that front left tire lifting. It wants to fall, but boom. Front left comes back down, stays planted, and we move on. Yeah, see? Those little rocks get you stuck. All right, I think this is us moving to a new spot. I had my 4-month-old with me. He was sleeping. Maybe now he's awake. Kind of making some noise in the background, but he's having a good time. Here we go, just a little flexing, a little driving, nothing special. Just hitting some little undulations here and there. Oh, making my way over to this kind of cool feature. Nothing hard, just moving around, cruising through. But yeah, I do like these tires. They, especially with the weight, they mold to the rocks nicely. They got a decent amount of grip, and they really do keep the truck planted. Oh, this is a cool section. Let's look at this. So this is a series of little ledges, and you kind of have to hit each one at a slightly different angle in order to make it up. So there's our first one, and this is where you see the flex kind of showing its thing. But also, I think I use the crab walk right here because I get high centered. Back up a little bit, I crab walk it over to the right. And it's still not quite getting it, put it in the tight turning, and that way, as I turn, I can use that rear tire to grab the ledge, pull myself up. You know, it just gives you a little bit of extra clearance, a little bit of extra grab. There's that flex. Nice. Nice. That was a cool line. That's probably my favorite, I don't know, maybe favorite line of the day. Okay, all right, this last clip, I was trying to set up some cool line in the beginning, but the truck was falling over and it was not working. So, climbing up, I'm aiming for that little red rock right there. Thought I'd pop up there, use the tight turning radius to hang a left and make my way up the hill. But yeah, been a super nice day. This is the last clip. You hear a couple guys show up right at the end. They were walking by and got pumped. Oh yeah, a little RC time. Look, a little RC. You guys ever drive these? Yeah, they drove them when they were children. So, a little insulting. But anyways, this is a wrap up. This is the parts bin buggy. A lot of fun to build. It was a cool exercise of just seeing what I could put together based on the stuff that I had. A lot of leftover parts, a lot of them are cheap. There's not a lot of fancy stuff in here. And it's a cool build. What I think I've learned most is just, you know, if I'm gonna put together a nice, like maybe 4-wheel steer buggy in the future, there's a lot of little things that this buggy taught me about how to make that future buggy even better, and had a lot of fun doing it. So anyways, this is not a cool clip. Just a little bit of a failure right here. Yeah. Well, thanks for watching, and yeah, get out there, build some trucks, and I'll just let this one play through.
Hit that bass line nice and slow. Ooh, yeah. Talk box singing, let the rhythm flow. Palm trees swaying, do you feel that breeze? Rolling down the boulevard, feeling it.